We've been following the Doctor's adventures for over 50 years, but will they round it up to a nice even century, or call it a day before then? I'm Ashley with WatchMojoUK, and today we're taking a look at how Doctor Who should end.
Doctor, I let you go.
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Over the years, Who has had plenty of pivotal episodes filled with massive plot points and significant encounters between heroes and villains, any of which could have served as a definitive ending for the series. From the evil of the Daleks back in 1967 to 2013's The Name of the Doctor.
What I did without choice.
I know.
In the name of peace and sanity.
But not in the name of the Doctor.
But seeing as it's a hugely successful TV show with limitless ideas and potential, as well as an iconic protagonist who can regenerate, it's kept going and going and going. And it's still hard to see how the whole thing could arrive at a satisfying conclusion. Literally anything could happen. It could all randomly end with some kind of metaphorical, philosophical, purgatorial, and it was all a dream sequence if the writers wanted it to. Let's hope not, though.
That was a nice nap. Now, down to business.
Throughout the series, there are certain key events and themes that are pretty much a constant. So, any final storyline would have to tie those all together, starting with perhaps the single biggest and most influential event of all, the Time War.
Soldier, I'm going to need your gun.
We're still not completely privy to all that happened during the Time War. Yes, we know it almost wiped out all the Daleks and, seemingly, although not really, the Doctor's home planet, Gallifrey. We know it's a moment which has haunted the Doctor ever since, but we also know that the War Doctor's role in ending it wasn't all that bad. But it's still the battle to end all battles, bringing together the Doctor, the Daleks, and the Master. In terms of fitting finales, the Time War is it.
Doctor is escaping one of these words.
So how, why, and when would the Doctor return to it? Building on the Day of the Doctor flashbacks, the show could send the Doctor traveling in an infinite time loop.
It's, timey-wimey thing.
Timey what? Timey-wimey?
I've no idea where he picks that stuff up.
A fairly standard feature in time travel sci-fi, it's the idea that the end of the universe is also simultaneously its beginning. It fits with the show's theme of regeneration, solving seemingly impossible problems, and traveling through alternate realities. And it'd allow the Doctor to return to earlier points in the Time War to not just avert it, but avoid it altogether. On the one hand, unfreezing Gallifrey from time, but also making it safe, is a happily ever after. On the other, it traps the Doctor inside a heaven-sent style situation forever, which isn't fun. It would give opportunity to relive every significant moment from previous episodes though, serving a bit like a best-of clip show and one hell of a highlight reel.
Oh, for God's sake, Gallifrey stands!
But what about the bad guys? Regardless of whether there's a nostalgic time loop in place, and with or without the Time War setting, the final series finale would require the villain of all villains. So would the antagonist be something old or something new?
Then you will be swept aside, like the dirt that you are. Die, Doctor!
The show certainly isn't afraid to unleash new enemies like Zim Shah.
Tim Shaw?
Tim Shaw.
Tim Shaw?
Tim Shaw. Soon to be leader of the Stenza warrior race.
but it stands to reason that a definitive, superlative apex villain would have godlike powers and wisdom, alongside which all of the other baddies would pale in comparison.
It is within my power to choose the manner of your death.
Clearly, such a creature would cause untold panic, tension, and terror, but throw in the idea that the Doctor has prior knowledge of it, having lived multiple versions of the same massive life to get to this point, then it would become all the more ominous. In terms of what it actually is, it could be just another alien being, naturally, or a fairly predictable reimagining of some kind of super Dalek.
You are the Doctor! You are the enemy of the Daleks! You will be exterminated!
But the end would seem a whole lot scarier if the final nemesis was someone, or something, the Doctor trusts. How about the TARDIS itself?
Feel it. Feel it, you feel it?
It's a faint vibration.
It's alive!
The TARDIS is a sentient spacecraft once memorably brought to life in 2011's The Doctor's Wife, when its matrix is removed and it's given a human body.
I just wanted to say hello.
It always takes the Doctor to where he needs to be, but also houses a tremendous amount of power and has frequently shown potential to do catastrophic damage. Its time vortex energy was enough to finish Christopher Eccleston's 9th Doctor off, so it'd clearly be deadly if its power was used for nefarious purposes. Whether or not the TARDIS actively chooses to somehow weaponize itself, or if it's being manipulated by others, would make for a strong final mystery to solve. But the fate of the blue box definitely needs to be decided.
Clara, it's always like that. If the TARDIS were to land with its true weight, it would fracture the surface of the Earth.
It's unlikely the Doctor would willingly allow something so powerful to just wander the universe, especially as the pilots and the ship have such a special bond. If at the end of all things the craft did pose a risk to everything else, the Doctor would be forced to destroy it. Those would be some seriously emotional scenes, and it would ultimately mean no more space and time travel. So with the Doctor out of action, what state would the universe be left in? The first line of defense against evil aliens wreaking havoc at any point in time has now disappeared. So how can you ensure at least some semblance of safety? Especially with the likes of the Master, Davros, and the Daleks around.
New Daleks. True Daleks. I have my children, Doctor. What do you have?
Those are probably the most significant villains in the show's history, by far contributing to the most grief. So it'd only be fitting that they'd have some part to play in the finale. Again, meaning a return to the Time War makes quite a lot of sense. Throw the likes of the Cybermen and the Sontarans into the mix, two groups not traditionally seen as having fought in it, and you have yourself a true intergalactic battle royale bloodbath, with anyone who's anyone in Doctor Who attending.
This isn't war, this is sport!
The spectacle would require a couple of key characters to effectively be resurrected, but they've done it before, so they can do it again.
Never die.
Either way, the Doctor needs to seal the fate of all the baddies. Perhaps here is where lessons are most learned from the Day of the Doctor, as it could be that all of his enemies are somehow duped into a special, completely boxed off alternate universe that so closely mirrors our own that they can continue fighting forever, but without causing lasting damage.
Are you sure?
I was sure when I came in here. There is no other way.
It'd effectively be a rethink of the War Doctor's Time War compromise, which planted Gallifrey in a pocket dimension, causing the Daleks to confusedly destroy themselves. This time it'd be the Daleks and company locked away elsewhere, as though in some sort of timey-wimey Pandora's box, leaving the rest of us to exist in relative peace.
How do you work? Why is there never a big red button?
Finally, what about the actual Doctor? There are plenty of things that could happen, but two outcomes seem particularly likely. One sees a happier ending in which our heroic Time Lord is rewarded for all his efforts and given the chance to be a genuine mortal for his last form ever.
Who knows? Who knows?
The Doctor could even choose to live out the rest of his time on Earth being normal, probably back alongside Rose, if the writers are sentimental. Gaining mortality is a popular plotline in stories about immortals, but it feels just a little too simple for this show, and far too clear-cut. Which brings us to the other ending, the ultimate sacrifice. Were the Doctor to die, like actually, definitely, irrefutably die, the reason would have to be pretty immense. No! But say the wearied traveller had the chance to sacrifice the TARDIS and himself to actually prevent the Time War from ever happening, dispatch the Daleks and the Master, rewrite history, and in an unprecedented move, sidestep all the so-called fixed points in time, that doesn't seem like something the Doctor would pass up. In fact, the ultimate sacrifice could be the ultimate fixed point in time, and that's the true burden of the Time Lord.
Don't die. Oh my God, don't die. Oh my God, don't die.
But even then, the ending wouldn't necessarily be all doom and gloom. The show has quite a reputation for bittersweet moments, and this would cap them all off. In Doctor Who, happiness generally comes with a steep price attached, and the Doctor's end would be the steepest of all. It's show me a hero and I'll write you a tragedy, but with one of the most iconic heroes ever created.
I don't want to go.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.